Flosstube. Today is June the 3rd, 2019, and this is my third Flosstube. It's been 3 weeks since my last one, so if you're new here, welcome. And if you're returning, welcome back. Thanks for hanging in. So Mania is over, and I just thought I would do sort of an official Mania recap. I ended my official Mania on May 19th, but I kept going, working to be consistent about stitching every day, and stitching on things that I had started, or working on quilt projects that were in process. And I loved Mania. Mania was a lot of fun. I loved starting new things, but I'm really glad that this is my first Mania, and that I participated in at a time when people were just doing their own thing, because that allowed me to say, okay, I'm going to start something, I'm going to work on it for a couple of days. So I only had about 5 new starts, which feels really comfortable to me. It was really exciting starting all of those new things. It's also really exciting to me that I don't have a bazillion things started, so that I have some hope of getting things done. And I loved having the daily momentum of stitching. It really set a good tone to my days. And I loved being part of everyone stitching together. There was just something about this community of people all doing the same thing, which I've never participated in an online community in that way before. And it was a lot of fun. I loved seeing what everybody was putting up on Instagram, and it definitely enabled me for purchases and that sort of thing. Anyway, so having said all of that, I only have a few whips that I'm sort of focusing in on right now. I did start one additional thing right at the end of May. So maybe this was my 6th start. I'm not 100% sure on that. But I've decided to take a leaf out of Vanna the Twisted Stitcher's book, where she started doing morning stitching with coffee. And I really loved that, and I thought that it would be good for me, because I have never... Okay, so before Flosstube, I really wasn't participating in social media. I had started with social media back in 2008, 2009, and I just found it to be such a huge time absorber that I really wasn't enjoying it, so I decided to put it down completely. And I really haven't been on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or anything to any serious extent until now. And I found that I was, starting my day looking at all the social media, and it wasn't necessarily being healthy for me. So I decided that I would take a page out of Vanna's book, and so I am stitching a spiritually meaningful stitch in the morning, even if it's just a few stitches, as the way to begin my day. And I can't actually show you the pattern for the one I chose. It's very simple, but I only have the pattern itself. I don't have a picture of it being stitched. But the phrase is, when God is within, you are never without. It looks like it was probably a 90s kind of pattern based on the colors that were chosen, and so I changed it up to something that I liked a little better. So I don't know how this is going to show up here. Yeah, you can see that it's kind of got a green hue, and then this is a teal, and this is the beginning of the word God. So the design has some florals embedded in the word God, so it's kind of like it's growing. Anyway, I really love working on this first thing in the morning. I have it on a 32 count mystery piece of linen my guess is it's 32. It might be 28. I haven't actually sat down and counted it. And I decided to actually use, for God, 3 strands of floss. So it's kind of crowded, but I like the fact that it gives it a little bit of a raised look and it's really filled in. So that's making me happy and is a really healthier way for me to start. It's being a little difficult for me not to immediately go into the social media because it's just kind of become automatic for me. So this is really good. It makes me think. Okay, so the next project I've really been spending some time on is Blueskin. And so that's this pattern here by Plum Street. I really enjoy this. And this is my progress so far. And I really like how those berries are coming out. I don't know if you can really tell here. Let's see if I can get it to show how red those really are. And really, you can't. You're just not seeing it the way it is. But the DMC, I did not like the fancy floss that was called for. So then I decided to try the DMC, and I didn't like it either. But I purchased an old Crescent Colors fancy floss as part of a kit I'll show you later. And it had wild berries in it. So I decided to blend the DMC and wild berries, and I really like the way it's come out. You really can't tell, but it's sort of a rich cherry red. So that makes me happy. And I decided for the cherries themselves I'm going to do 2/2 because on 36 count I really don't like 1/2. It's just not full enough, I don't think, for me. I know that some people have talked about how it gets really chunky if you do 2/2. And so I'm not going to alter this pattern because it really calls for 1/2. Except for the cherries themselves. I'm going to make those a little poofier. Okay, so that was the second whip that I've been working on. And then I'm going to take this moment to introduce you to my turtle. So this was stitched for me as a birthday gift a couple of years ago by my friend Sarah from the Quilting Guild that I'm a member of. Anyway, I am the turtle of quilting, the turtle of all stitching. I go real slow, but slow and steady wins the race. Isn't he cute? He's my little mandala in here. Anyway, the reason I bring him up is this is going to take me forever. I am a very slow stitcher, but I love it. So this is the Lucy Calcutt 1826. And she's just beautiful, and I'm working up in this corner here. And this is my progress so far. I wonder if... that looked like you saw a shadow of my hand in there, so I don't know that that worked all that well. Let me see if I do this. Anyway, the colors just aren't done justice, but it is super colorful in a way that I think is probably very proper to the times. Lucy Calcutt, this is 1826. I'm pretty sure these colors are very true to that time. And I get a real sense of feeling like I'm Lucy when I'm stitching. It's just fun. So, kind of like a Wayback Machine or something. Anyway. Okay, so those are my whips. And the next thing I wanted to talk about is saving the stitches. So the first time I heard about this, I can't remember where, but it might have been Michelle Bendy Stitchy a couple of years ago when I first started watching Flosstube before I took my break. Anyway, so that always struck my fancy, but I never really saw anything. And then this past, my anniversary just happened at the end of May, and my daughter was away, and so I'm a pretty cheap date. We went estate sale hopping. as our anniversary date. It was so much fun. We had a great time. Anyway, I usually am working on Saturday mornings, and so that's why that was a treat for us, because that's when my husband can go. Anyway, so when we went hopping, I found this, which this thing is hugely heavy. I mean, it is solid wood. And isn't that just really nice? The stitching is really well done. I really like this pattern. I love the strawberries. And so it's sitting on my coffee table now. Even though it's dated, I really love it. So that was one. And then my husband found at a local estate sale that he could bid on online this. Oh, that's pretty. Okay. So sorry about all the reflections. But this is professionally framed. And isn't that just gorgeous? I don't know if you can even make out all of the incredible detail in that window. I just love it. I mean, there's this one part over here, that little heart is kind of dated. But other than that, it's really, really nice. It was, you know, I mean, this is a nice framing job. So this was very precious to someone at one time. And that's one of the things I love about this, saving the stitches, is that you take something that you know someone put a tremendous amount of effort and love into, and you get to treasure it the way maybe they did. So anyway, I love this. It's a little country, but I still love it. So very happy with it. And it cost him $4. I mean, really? Oh, that's kind of sad sometimes when you think about it. Okay. So that was my Save the Stitches, and now we're on to haul. I think I went a little crazy over the last few weeks. Yeah. Okay. So there is a store that is, I'm going to consider more like my local needlework shop, only in that it is very cross-stitch focused, and so it has the kinds of patterns, the kinds of linen, the kinds of tools that I'm looking for. My more local needlework shop is not as focused on cross-stitch, and so while they do have a lot of patterns and there are many things to purchase there, it's not quite as organized or as current as the cross-stitch peddler in Decatur, Alabama. So anyway, the first time I went there, I picked up a Q-snap, and I picked up this magnifier, which I am very happy with. So I kind of alternate between using this and my mag eyes. I wonder if I can, you know. It's light, so it can even clip onto a hoop, and it doesn't really unbalance it or anything. So I'm very happy with this. The other thing I got that first visit, was a piece of linen in 40 count, because I really wanted to try stitching on 40 count. And this is a piece of sheep straw by R&R. Let me see if I can get the... I don't think you're really going to be able to see the color. Well, that's good right there. It's got a yellowness to it that I really love, but it's very neutral. So it's a beautiful, beautiful piece of linen. And I have an idea of what I want to stitch, at least a little tiny thing on it, to see what I think about it. I'll talk about that in a minute, I guess. All right. So next, in that visit, she had a dollar bin, and I found this pattern by Kingsland, and it's Amish quilting sort of simplicity, and I just love it. So I may change the colors up a little bit, or not. I mean, it's a very simple, but I don't know, soothing, I guess would be the word give it. All right, so then I went back to Patches and Stitches, and they didn't have what I was looking for, so I bought this instead. Which, I love this book. I cannot wait to stitch things in here. And I may do some on that 40 count from in here. We'll see. Anyway, so that was a fun purchase. And then I was at my quilt guild, and somebody was stitching, and I went up to her and I was like, is that pattern by Plum Street? And she was like, yes. And she had patterns that she was wanting to sell, actually kits from Dying to Stitch. And I have these kitted up kits that are just awesome. So, and for somebody like me where I don't have a stash yet, I mean, they come with the fancy floss, they come with the finishing materials, they come with the linen. So this is the Scarlet House on Redware Road, on Stoneware Street. And then here is Scarlet House on Redware Road. Isn't that awesome? And then this is super cute. Another Scarlet House. Nice to meet you. And again, all kitted. I mean, these are amazing. This Plum Street, I love this. It is Pennsylvania Fracture. Oops. There we go. I don't know if you can see. It says Virtue, Liberty, and Independence. I cannot wait to stitch that. And then this is Autumn Cottage. Oops, I've got an extra one in there. Okay. Autumn Cottage. Also all kitted up. So these were exciting. And there was a part of me that really wanted to jump right in and start these all up. And then I thought, I think I'm the kind of person that wants to start something new periodically, but not all at once. So I will definitely be starting these up in the coming year. Coming few months. Don't know exactly, but definitely want to stitch them. And then this. Okay, so when you learn how to use PayPal and you start frequenting Etsy and you're on Instagram and it's just hop, skip, and a jump to purchase something that you see, you do it. And so I got Misty Purcell's Sweet Tweet. I'd actually entered a drawing with Anna from the Quilt Roadies for this pattern, I believe. I didn't win, so, but it's been in the back of my mind. And then I saw someone had finished it, and I was like, ah! And so then I went and I got her floss pack too, so pretty excited about that. And then went back to the Cross Stitch Peddler. We went down to Mississippi State this past weekend, and Decatur is sort of on the way. So I went in there looking for Little House Needleworks pattern. I cannot remember the one I was looking for, but I found this one instead, which I really, really like. It's Needle and Thread. I think it's from 2010 or 2011. And it came with the flosses that it recommends from Crescent Colors. These are old flosses. So they're beautiful. I love the name of this one. My Lady's Teal. Okay, now I see why everybody puts something white. Ah, here we go. Let's see if that... is that kind of... I don't know that that really does it justice. And roasted chestnut. And pea pod. Whoops. Whoa. And that one I mentioned earlier, wild berries for my cherries. And tufted yellow. So the pattern isn't going to need the entirety of these skeins. So I went ahead and started using this in my current in Blueskin, and I'm super excited about stitching this up. I mean, there's this cute little scissor fob, which I think is just adorable, and I'm going to try stitching that over 1 on 40. I figure if I can do it over 1, it will loosen me up, and I'll totally be able to do, you know, 1 over 2 on 40. My goal is hopefully to be able to stitch on 40 so I can just use 1 thread, because I do not think my stitching looks that good when I'm using 2. I'm pretty excited, actually. This Saturday, I get to go to a local stitching group, a cross-stitch group that I didn't know about. They're called the North Alabama Stitchers. They meet in Decatur, and so that's, you know, just a little over a half hour for me, so it's not really far at all. And I'm gonna get to hang out with other people doing stitching, and I'm gonna get to see what they're working on, and hopefully maybe gain some understanding of ways maybe that I can clean up my stitching. So super excited about that too. Okay, and then I picked up this pattern, which is super cute. Birds of a feather. And I have a friend who's a penguin fanatic, and so I think she'll like this if and when I get to stitching that for her. And then in keeping with that idea of stitching in the morning, I found this Madonna and Child by Diane Arthurs. I guess she's called Imaginating is the company. Anyway, I'm thinking I'm going to look for a variegated blue, because I think this would look stunning in, you know, like Silks for You makes those big skeins. I think that could be just lovely. And then my daughter was with me this last visit to the Cross Stitch Peddler, so she suggested we pick up this piece of 28 count Jobelin to stitch together on, and she found these in the dollar bin, which, you know, how cute is that? A sprinkling of magic and a wish on a star, fairy dust and moonbeams shining from afar. Adorable. And then she thought I'd like this. Just one more stitch. I definitely feel that way. So that was fun, and it was exciting that my daughter really wants to stitch with me. Okay. So I was on Facebook Marketplace, another place I don't spend any time, but I'm on Facebook more because there are cross-stitch groups there. So now I have this ginormous box, actually 2 boxes. These are hardware boxes, and they are full, both of them, full of flosses, because I bought, remember how I said I was going to use this box? Well, when you have 250 more skeins added to your collection, all of a sudden that doesn't work anymore. So, I mean, these are all beautifully numbered and bobbinated on these nice stiff plastic bobbins. It was clearly a real stitcher's stash. It was on there for $25, and I just asked the woman if she'd ship it to me if I paid shipping, and she said yes. Ta-da! 250 skeins later. I mean, super excited. 188 different colors. I can probably find a way to stitch anything, even if I don't, you know, have the wherewithal to get to a store or, you know, order 1, 2, 3 stitch or whatever. I can stitch So I'm really excited about this. So that was a great addition. And I think that's it. I've been having a blast diving into cross stitch. But I did have fun when I returned to doing a little bit of quilting towards the end of May, and this is not complete, but it's in process. It's going to have triangular points, so I haven't got those on there yet, but it's basically a barbershop pole, and it's a patriotic runner for, you know, July 4th, and I'm really excited with it. I don't have any patriotic pieces in my house right now, so this really makes me happy. And I loved working with this directional fabric, figuring out how to get it to go the right way so that it felt like it was all flowing down. So that was fun. And while we were at Mississippi State, there is a fabric shop not far away called Main Street Fabrics. And they had fantastic sales. They had like a wall of bolts that were like $4 a yard. So, I mean, quilt store level fabric. So I got a little bit. I love this one. Even though I know it's kind of Easter, it reminds me of the Sue Spargo birds. Anyway, so there was that. And then there was more than just this, but I'm going to stop us here. Anyway, I had gotten this book out of the library. It's called Inspired by the National Parks, Their Landscapes and Wildlife in Fabric Perspectives. It is art quilts based on the national parks. And so the way this book is organized is it'll have the national park. Oops, let's see. Or an item that you might find in a national park, like a snowy owl. And it'll have a little discussion about, from the park ranger that is inspired by the park, and then the art quilter will talk about what inspired the quilt. It's a beautiful book, and since I had to return it to the library and I couldn't part with it, I decided I had to have it, and I was able to find it used. So, I mean, it's just beautiful, beautiful quilts in here. And what the rangers have to say about the parks that they love is so special that this is just a great book. So I had a lot of fun using PayPal. Oh my goodness gracious. So my plans going forward are, I'm going to actually join, well, I guess technically I've already joined the Stitch Along for Lucy Calcutt 1826. Needleworker Ellen is doing it as her birthday sal. I've never been part of a sal, but I love this sampler, and I love the idea of being part of a sal, so I'm going to stitch along with them. But I am the turtle of stitching, and I will just keep that in mind. So that's going to be my focus, with sprinklings of working on blue skin, and then I'm going to keep working on this inspirational stitch for the morning. And that's it. And so until I see you next time, enjoy your stitching. Bye.